What happened to the gay rights movement? It's no longer existent, is it?
I feel part of a larger community. I think we're focused. I think we're under total fire. It's the 2004 backlash all over again, just mostly targeted at a different segment of our community. 2004, as you remember, is when a couple states started rolling the ball on gay marriage, and Bush Jr. decided to run against us and make us his target for getting reelected. And we had state after state mentioning homosexuals for the first time in their constitutions by spelling us out.
You see no difference between.
It was a very scary time, and we're having
marriage equality.
We're having it again with the Republicans trying to run on beating up the gays, beating up the trans in 2020.
No, beating up both gays. I mean,
for election purposes. And it's a scary, scary backlash, but I think we're unified that we have to fight it as hard as we can. I think they're overreaching. I don't think it's actually going to change votes to their side in the middle.
Do you not think
I think it looks mean-spirited on the fringe. They're doing it just to get their base out, and they're getting that out regardless.
Do you think that associating gay people with young children and indoctrinating young children in critical gender theory is something of the equivalent of asking for marriage equality?
I think they used the same arguments. They were the ads that the whole 2004 backlash was done with ads about how we were a threat to children.
We took the initiative on the children. The Obama administration said, we're going to make sure your children, whether you like it or not, are told that they can choose whether to be a boy or a girl or both or neither or something else entirely. Teaching kids in kindergarten that they could be trans.
Why?
This is outrageous.
No, it's not outrageous. First off, it's an anecdote, and I followed your active.
No, it's not. It's that I'm just following. I'm just quoting directly from one of the books set as a syllabus being propagated throughout this country through the public school system.
It's an anecdote. And I've noticed, watching and reading your blog for many, many, many years, that a lot of what you get on a campaign about over time, that it is filled often with anecdotes that panic you, that really frighten you in some core way. I don't know what it is. But in the large, again, I always take bird's eye views. I always look at data. I always look at things logically. This is not, there's not some massive scheme of school systems teaching that penises no longer exist. All these anecdotes.
No, they're not saying that. They're saying that as young in you honestly favor telling children in kindergarten that they get to choose whether they're a boy or a girl. You're in favor of that?
I totally trust that this stuff is going to even out over time. There's not some great crime that's happening, that children are being told horrible things that are going to scar them for life.
They are.
No, they're not. I mean,
you don't think children having sex change operations?
They obviously scar you in some way, but no, they don't.
I'm not the one person speaking.
This is not some pandemic. We did this whole thing with critical race theory, you and I, last year, where you also were pointing out anecdotes, and I emailed back. I said, show me the data that shows which schools, what percentage of public health school systems in the U.S., what percentage of total students are being taught critical race theory in the U.S. And you didn't reply to that email. I mean, you were finding the anecdotes.
Are you honestly telling me, Peter?
You were finding the anecdotes out there, the examples. You were latching onto those and turning them into something huge and scary. And there was no bird's eye view. There's something that panics you about this stuff. So why don't we talk?
I don't want children being indoctrinated in critical race theory or critical gender and critical queer theory. It's an extremist view. It's propagated by a small minority in universities, and it's being used to indoctrinate children against the will of their parents.
And what about the indoctrination of our history books are no longer mention that put slavery in some better light that's happening.
No one's doing that. No one's done that. Now you bring out these absolute ridiculous.
No, Texas is